it is, likely, in my opinion, that we will actually see higher returns in the coming cycles instead of diminishing returns, or at least it will be a force. Yeah, exactly, right? Like, no, at least it will be a force that will cause returns to increase rather than to decrease, because obviously there is an increase in market cap, which is always kind of like this downward force, like, because there's more, as you called it before, this monetary energy, or there's more needed to move the market from this 500 billion to a trillion, or to 10 trillion. And so it is not so that's a natural lock growth curve, let's say, like it kind of this diminishing returns theory, and that's a very conservative theory. I'm not against the diminishing returns theory at all. I think the log growth curve is still a very conservative way of looking at Bitcoin's increase, but I do think that this actually increase in scarcity of Bitcoin since the third halving might cause also an upward pressure. So I wouldn't be surprised if the next cycle we will actually see returns similar to the 2017 market.
Bitcoin is going to peak somewhere between $100,000 and $1 million per coin by Christmas of 2025. That's the prediction out from on-chain Bitcoin analyst Rational Root. The Rational Root is known for his unique 4-year spiral charts and his pricing models. He believes that the Bitcoin 4-year cycle is playing out exactly as it should be, and he has the spiral charts to prove it. Based on his models, we would be looking at a Christmas 2025 Bitcoin price peak of between $100K and $1 million. In his latest interview, he broke down the unique supply dynamics of Bitcoin and why the 2024 halving is the first time in Bitcoin's history that the active Bitcoin supply is actually going down heading into the halving. Bitcoin supply shock is truly upon us. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video where Rational Root showcases his 4-year Bitcoin spiral chart and how predictably the Bitcoin price hits all-time highs and cycle lows. Also, only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed. If you enjoy finance content, consider subscribing or liking the video. It's free and you can always change your mind.
So we plot the Bitcoin price here, and each ring in this spiral, the Bitcoin price goes times 10. So from kind of the center of the chart, we start at a cent, we go to $1, $10, and so forth. And we can see that we get like a very similar behavior of Bitcoin's price in that 4-year time period. That's why the 4-year cycle is so famous to Bitcoin, also to traditional markets, because in traditional markets, the PMI cycle or so also tends to happen in like a 4 or 5-year time period. But so we see these blue dots here in this spiral chart. Those represent the halvings. And so I added here all the psychology of the market into this chart. And so it's, I mean, maybe you can pause the chart for just a second, Kelly, because I don't want to go through it like too fast. So when so around, I mean, here you can see it clearly. Those green dots on the left side, those are all those are the cycle peaks, and they're all in a similar area in this spiral chart. As for the bottoms, which are here shown in the top. Those big red dots, those are the bottom of each cycle. And so the halvings also, those are the blue dots, these light blue dots, they kind of happen in the same moment in time, a little less than 4 years. That's why they kind of tend to move back a little bit with each cycle. And so the next halving is projected there with that blue line as well. And so what I try to do here, I try to combine several things. I actually try to combine for this chart on-chain analysis, which I show actually this color-coded price, which is actually based on behavior of short-term holders. So people that only bought Bitcoin recently, those are the ones that are most affected by price. And so they are most influenced. When there's volatility, they are very price sensitive. And so if we look at their cost basis, we can actually see what their average purchase price is. So this is here again the use of on-chain, and we can also look at like how far is the price from the cost basis. So with other words, are those short-term holders in a high profit, or do they have a high loss? And so that information is kind of put in the price here. And so you can see those dark green colors, which represents that these short-term holders are at a substantial profit, and the dark red colors are when they are at a loss. And so this really gives this information from on-chain. And this actually tells us a lot about the phases. So what I try to combine here as well is, so the 4-year cycle, so it's the average purchase price of the short-term holders. So the short-term holders are people who bought their Bitcoin less than 5 months ago. And so their cost basis is very important because they are the most price sensitive. So the longer you hold Bitcoin, the less price sensitive you become. And that's why the hodler groups in Bitcoin, they are all the long-term holders, right? They held Bitcoin for a long time. And so but when you bought Bitcoin recently, for example, you bought the 69K peak, now you're a lot more price sensitive when price starts moving. You're much more likely to sell the Bitcoin because you're like immediately at a loss. And so these the cost basis of the short-term holders, or the average purchase price of all these combined short-term holders, that's what we look at, the average purchase price. This is a really important level, because if price is above that short-term holder price, then we are kind of in a bull market, and if it's below, we are in a bear market. And so what I did here in the color-coded information is kind of to show when price is above that short-term holder cost basis, it becomes you get these yellow green colors, dark green being very high above it. So that meaning that those short-term holders are in a high profit, and these dark red colors show these bear market phases. And so what I also tried to do in this chart was to really combine the Wall Street cheat sheet, which is a very famous chart in traditional finance, which talks about the psychology of the market, and to apply that to Bitcoin in the best way possible. And so that's why I aligned all these different phases of emotions that people go through in a cycle. And we are actually now in the disbelief phase. And the disbelief phase, and this chart has already been live a year or so. I've been sharing it for a long time. But the disbelief phase is actually, so one of the feelings that will happen is like, you will feel like, oh, this rally will fail like before, right? Like that's kind of the natural emotion that you will get. Again, there is a rally, but you don't believe that it's true, that it will go up. But actually what we see now is that rally that we got is actually that sustained rally now, to 35K, and it seems a very sustained rally up until now. And so that brings this disbelief. So really shows that we're in this disbelief phase, and we're only 5 months away from the next halving, right? So we still got the phase of doubt, like where people are going to doubt, like, oh, is the halving actually priced in? Because people, we just came from this depression, capitulation, and during people were so kind of tired of Bitcoin's price they had to go through all of this pain for basically the last year. And so there's still a lot of doubt and disbelief, like, will the next halving do the same? But each cycle we see the same thing happening. The next year and a half looks very promising for Bitcoin. In terms of the cycle. Now, we have a recession on the other hand, which is another topic. I mean, we can get into that as well a little bit. But from a cycles perspective, the next year and a half looks actually amazing. We just came from a year and a half of pain, which is kind of the worst period to go through in Bitcoin. But the next year and a half looks very promising. It is likely, in my opinion, that we will actually see higher returns in the coming cycles instead of diminishing returns, or at least it will be a force. Yeah, exactly, right? Like, no, at least it will be a force that will cause returns to increase rather than to decrease, because obviously there is an increase in market cap, which is always kind of like this downward force, like, because there's more, as you called it before, this monetary energy, or there's more needed to move the market from this 500 billion to a trillion, or to 10 trillion. And so it is not so that's natural lock growth curve, let's say, like it kind of this diminishing returns theory, and that's a very conservative theory. I'm not against the diminishing returns theory at all. I think the log growth curve is still a very conservative way of looking at Bitcoin's increase, but I do think that this actually increase in scarcity of Bitcoin since the third halving might cause also an upward pressure. So I wouldn't be surprised if the next cycle we will actually see returns similar to the 2017 market, or in between the past market and the 2017 market, because of course we have the force of this increase in market cap that kind of puts like this still a bit of down pressure to like the market is harder to move. But then the scarcity, increase in scarcity, will again cause a bit more volatility. And so I think it's maybe fair to say that the returns in the next cycle will be somewhere in between the returns of the previous two cycles.
So there's Rational Root's Bitcoin predictions for Christmas 2025. The Rational Root, renowned for his unique 4-year spiral charts and pricing models, has made a bold forecast, suggesting that Bitcoin could reach an astounding peak between $100,000 and $1 million by the end of 2025. This prediction stems from his meticulous study of Bitcoin's 4-year cycles and the intricate supply dynamics of cryptocurrency. A significant factor in this prediction is the upcoming 2024 Bitcoin halving, an event that for the first time in its history is seeing a decrease in Bitcoin's active supply. This anticipated supply shock could be a pivotal moment for Bitcoin's value, potentially triggering unprecedented market movements. Anyway guys, hope you all enjoyed today's video and that provided you with some value. I'll see you all in the next one, and as always, all the best.